Rushed branding decisions come back to haunt you. Here's how to fix them without starting over. Welcome back to Brand Chops, the podcast that helps small businesses brand smarter, not harder. Every episode, we break down a key aspect of building your business with better branding into bite-sized, actionable takeaways you can use right away. My name is Zach Lemire, and in this episode, we're talking about what brand regret looks like, why it's so common, and how to repair it without blowing up your entire business. Let me start with a confession. Almost every business I've ever worked with has at least one piece of branding they regret. Maybe it was the DIY logo you threw together in Canva that night before your launch. Maybe it was the name you picked quickly because the domain was available. Maybe it was the website you built over a weekend just to get something up. Maybe it was hiring the wrong people on Fiverr and they didn't do a great job, or you didn't really know how to direct them. At the time, those shortcuts feel necessary. You're excited, you're in a rush, you just want to launch. But later, those rushed decisions become regrets because it's very expensive and time consuming to change after the fact. Here's the thing. Brand regret is expensive. It costs you credibility, customers, and confidence. But the good news, you don't have to throw everything away. You can fix rushed branding with smart, intentional steps. The problem is that rushed branding creates long-term friction. Let's start with credibility. According to a Stanford Web credibility study, 75% of consumers judge a business's credibility based on website design. If your site looks DIY or outdated, people make assumptions about your quality. It's the same thing as if you showed up to a business meeting in your bathrobe. You could be the best person in there with the most qualifications and the best choice for the solution that they're looking for. But if you do not show up representing everything on every angle, you're gonna make people question you. If your site looks DIY or outdated, people make assumptions about your quality. That cheap logo you made at 2 a.m. might be costing you real money today. Next, let's talk about consistency. When you patchwork your brand over time, things stop matching. Your website says one thing, your proposals say another, your social posts look different again. That inconsistency confuses people, and confused people don't buy. And what I've said a long time, and many, many times, is a good brand identity is there to help you be easy to recognize, remember, and share. And if it's not easy to remember and recognize and share because it's confusing, because it's different every time, because there's no consistency, it will confuse people, and it'll be harder for you to communicate. It'll be harder for you to keep them coming back. It'll be harder for you to use your branding on everything, because instead of them saying, I remember that logo, I remember that tagline, I remember that business, they're going to say, what's this guy? Oh, I had no idea you did the same thing. I bought from you a year ago. I didn't know, because your logo on your website's different from this logo here, and your business card says something different too. Is this the same company? Did you guys get bought out? All of these things shouldn't even be on their mind. It should just be say, I know this place, I remember this place, and I trust this place. And finally, rushed branding kills confidence. When you don't feel proud of your website, logo, or messaging, you hold back. You don't want to show it to people. You hesitate to pitch bigger clients. You don't post as often. You second guess yourself, and that hesitation has a cost. Plus, the process of posting or creating a new website or creating a business card becomes a lot more difficult, because what's happening is you don't have something that's easy to remember. You don't have a consistent setup. You don't have everything in place. You don't have brand guidelines. You don't have a strategy. And so you've got to make sure that you have all those things figured out, so you don't second guess yourself, and because that hesitation has a cost. So brand regret isn't about aesthetics. It's about credibility, consistency, and confidence. 3 things you can't afford to compromise. So that's the problem. Now let's look into how branding reframes regret into opportunity. Brand regret is fixable. Unlike some business mistakes, branding isn't permanent. You can course correct, and often small intentional tweaks make a huge difference. Think of it like renovating a house. You don't always need to tear it down and rebuild. Sometimes you just need to replace the kitchen cabinets, update the paint, or swap out the carpet. The foundation stays the same, but the experience transforms. And your brand works the same way. You don't need total rebrand to fix regret. You need targeted upgrades. And here's the best part. Those upgrades pay off immediately. A sharper logo makes you prouder to hand out business cards. A cleaner website builds instant trust with visitors. A clear brand promise shortens sales calls. The return shows up fast. So how do you fix brand regret without starting from scratch? Let's walk through the steps. Here's my framework for repairing rushed branding. Step 1, identify the weakest point. Don't try to fix everything at once. Find the one thing you're most embarrassed by. Is it the logo, the name, the website? Start there. Step 2, upgrade. Don't overhaul. Ask yourself, what's the smallest change that would make the biggest impact? Maybe it's a logo refresh instead of a full rebrand. Maybe it's rewriting your homepage headline instead of redoing the whole site. Maybe it's finally adding your real logo to your invoices and your email signature. Maybe it's revamping your social media profiles. Start small. Step 3, get outside feedback. You can't always see your own blind spots, or what we like to say is you can't see the label from inside the bottle. Ask customers, peers, or even friends, what feels off about our brand? Do you know what we do? Do you trust me as a brand? And their answers will point you in the right direction. Step 4, phase improvements. Spread updates over time so you're not overwhelming your team or your customers. Start with the highest impact fix and then roll out others as budget and time allow. Step 5, celebrate your progress. Every improvement builds confidence. Share the before and after with your team. Recognize how far you've come. That momentum fuels the next upgrade, and it really shows you that you're making progress. All right, that's the framework. Now let's get practical with steps you can take right this second. Ask 3 trusted people what feels off. You really need to make sure that you've got outside perspective, and it will reveal the things you've stopped noticing. Because when we see things every day, we forget about it. And if nobody tells you that it looks terrible, that you don't have a proper logo in your email signature, or that it's the old logo, or that your tagline hasn't changed to match the one on the website, if nobody's telling you that, but that's how they're feeling, it really doesn't matter what you hear, what you see, what you know. It's their outside perspective that matters the most, because everything about your brand and your business is about their perception, and their perception is reality. If they think that you have no attention to detail, but you promise that you do, but you're showing in every little step that you don't, there's a whole other episode on that as well. Pick one fix and schedule it this month, whether it's your logo, your tagline, your website copy, your social media presence. Commit to one upgrade. And use affordable resources. Some sites like 99 Designs or Fiverr can give you professional design, but you really have to know what you're asking for. It won't break the bank, but sometimes it might break the bank, because if you've got to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because you're not clear with them what you want, and you're not clear with yourself what you want, then it will cost a lot, and sometimes it won't work. Or worse, you'll feel so committed to the process, or you've got this escalation of commitment. Oh, I'm in too deep. I've got to keep it. I'll figure it out later. That'll cost you. You can also invest in a small project with a local designer, or you could hire someone local to give you some insight, to maybe spend a little bit more than what's on Fiverr, just so that they can guide the process along, and you have somebody close and local that you can trust. But the heavy lifting is done by people on Fiverr. So you still get a quality product at the end of the day, but you spend a lot less. And leave budget for brand upkeep. Just like you set aside money for maintenance on a building or your car, or budget for brand maintenance, logos, websites, and photography is just as important, because you're going to need to have a refresh. You see this all the time, I'm sure, with your favorite brands. Not only do they refresh their looks, their experience, sometimes they do the whole logo. Burger King's been doing it for years. A lot of companies do it. Even Apple has changed what their Apple shape looks like. I mean, they've kept the Apple shape, but sometimes it had the stripes and sometimes it didn't. And now it's, sometimes it was glossy, sometimes it wasn't, but it had consistency overall, but they've evolved. And honestly, stop waiting for perfect. Your brand will always evolve. Focus on making it better today, not perfect forever. Here's a reflection. What's one part of your brand you secretly avoid showing people? Think about it. Think about when you've gone to a networking group and you went to talk to people and say, oh, don't go to my website, it's under construction, or this is my old business card, or I'm working on my new logo, I hate this one. Whatever it is, if it's your website, your logo, your sales deck, write it down. That's where you should start. And here's the bottom line. Rushed branding is normal, but brand regret doesn't have to be permanent. Every business has something they'd do differently if they could go back, but you don't need to start over. You just need to upgrade strategically. So identify the weakest link, upgrade it, get feedback, phase the improvements, celebrate progress, because when you fix brand regret, you don't just improve your image, you rebuild your own credibility, your own consistency, and your own confidence. And that's what drives growth. And as always, If you got value from today's episode, subscribe, leave a review, and let us know your biggest branding questions. We might feature them in an upcoming episode. Thanks again for listening to Brand Chops, where we chop up brands to see what they're made of. We will see you next time. Brand Chops is brought to you by the fine people at Pivot Creative. Pivot Creative is a full-service branding and marketing agency that partners with businesses to build brands that connect so that every dollar you spend is an investment and not an expense. If you need some branding or marketing guidance, a website, a new brand, or want to learn more about one of the topics we cover on the show, please reach out to us at pivotcreative.com. If you know someone that would benefit from learning more from one of our shows, please share the episode. Visit brand-chops.com. And as always, like and subscribe if you find this content to be helpful. See you next time on Brand Chops, where we chop up brands to see what they're made of.